We are talking about the Governor's Office of Economic Development and our state's workforce needs. What role does your department play in that?
We try to boil it down to three things when we're speaking with the public. The first one is we try to help businesses create good paying jobs with good benefits. It's important to note that the businesses are creating the jobs. We're just there lending a hand. Second thing is we try to enhance the tax base. And the third thing, improve the quality of life for all South Dakotans.
As the GOED works to help businesses start a new business, expand a business, or even relocate in South Dakota, our state has some top selling points. What are those?
So a number of things. And this is kind of a fun part to talk about a little bit. So we've got a great business environment. We've got a very friendly business tax environment. Our workforce is top-notch and well-educated. We've got good educational institutions. Our state is fiscally stable, and so that gives us a lot of flexibility that maybe other states don't have.
What are South Dakota's biggest workforce needs right now?
You know, the workforce needs are very broad, and it's pretty much in every industry. We have traditionally had some industries that have had bigger needs, sometimes in manufacturing or welding. Healthcare certainly is one where we have a lot of needs, but it's broad and it's across every industry.
Where have we seen growth in our workforce, and what programs have been put in place to help with that growth?
Yeah, South Dakota, surprisingly to some people, is actually an in-migration state. So we have more people coming here than leaving, which is a great position to be in. I think with many states, though, we do have some of our younger population that leave. Fortunately for us, many of them come back. Workforce development is a tricky subject, and it's a tough nut to crack. There's lots of our partner agencies and organizations across the state that work on this. It takes a coordinated effort, and a lot of it actually lies with kind of our local economic development offices and local communities understanding, okay, what is their specific workforce need and how do we address it? And of course, we're there to try to assist.
Housing, it's an issue on a statewide level. What programs might we see looking forward to help with some of those housing challenges?
Here at the Governor's Office of Economic Development, we are entertaining an idea here this legislative session, or this time frame, where we have the READY Fund, the Revolving Economic Development and Initiative Fund. That's traditionally been used for business loans. So we're entertaining the idea of opening that up for loans for multifamily housing. And we do have a little bit of a process that we have to go through. We have to take some public comment. Our Board of Economic Development has to craft the guidelines, specifically of how it could be used. And so we're working through that process now, but we hope to be able to, by maybe middle of the year, start helping some projects move forward.
We often hear that South Dakota provides a tax-friendly environment for our businesses. Explain what that means.
So we don't have a corporate income tax. We don't have a business inventory tax. And what that does is that goes right to the bottom line of the business, and that gives them the flexibility to be able to invest in new equipment, to pay their workers better, to have some benefits available. And it's tougher in other states when you're having to pay those taxes.
Does the Governor's Office of Economic Development ever work with other state agencies to help attract outside businesses?
We do work closely with tourism, and one big reason is they're just downstairs in our building, right? But we do work closely with them, and they actually subscribe to a lot of data, and they're willing to share some of that data with us, certainly. And so we page through that and make sure that we're doing the things that we need to so that people know we've got good jobs available. And one of the things that we found is that when we have a chance to sit down with businesses and talk about South Dakota and maybe get them here, they don't know all the great stuff that we do in South Dakota. And we're a little bit of a hidden gem. And so that's nice to see when you tell them, look, we've got one of the premier underground laboratories in the world at the Sanford Underground Research Facility. We've got one of the top ethanol producers in the world in South Dakota. And it surprises them that we're doing kind of this kind of groundbreaking economic development, business growth research stuff in the state.
During the governor's State of the State address, Governor No mentioned that South Dakota is open for business. What exactly does that mean, and what programs can we see going into the future that will help with that?
Yeah, that's really a good question. And to some extent, it's a continuation of what we already do. But we're, of course, taking up the governor's challenge that we do want to be open for business. That South Dakota is open for a business. And we talked a little bit about our kind of our premier business environment and our low tax environment and reasonable regulation. All of those things play into that. But there's a kind of a multi-stage effort that we really need to focus on with business. The first one is retaining and expanding our existing businesses. So we've got an aggressive program where we go out and visit businesses. Our office alone, we're on track to visit more than 400 businesses in this coming year. And that's something we've done for many years, but we're going to continue that. And we've got a little bit more of an impetus now to work with our businesses and challenge them to grow. Then you've got business startup. And so we want to work in that space as well. And encourage entrepreneurs and business startup. And we work with a lot of local partners in that regard, but we do have programs like our microloan that's available for startups. And then things like working with our research institutions at our universities and commercializing those ideas that are coming out of our universities and have incubator space available. And then lastly, I would say we do outreach to out-of-state businesses and try to let them know that we are open for business, that this is a great business environment. We try to do those other things first and then do some outreach as well, because you kind of have some projects from each of those buckets to kind of have a healthy growth within the state.